Attention, citizens.
Hello. Welcome back, my friends. If you're new here, I am Lance. And if you're returning, welcome back. Now, I was going to say back to the Reactor Spotlight. This is not a Reactor Spotlight. This is just a random video that we're doing, that what's going on the interwebs. And I saw this. I like this one content creator, Rivera. He is a stand-up comedian. There was a really interesting video he just came out with called "Trans Rights Activists Bugging Out Over LGB Alliance." You already have my ideas of like a couple of my other videos pertaining to what's going on with the LGBTQ community. Looks like I'm doing more of these videos because it's what's happening right now, and it's really needs to be talked about. I hate to put. I try to be fun-loving and lighthearted on this channel, but sometimes I see some things and I'm just like, we need to discuss this. This is crazy. This is like the Twilight Zone type of thing. So let's check it out. Anyway, here we go.
Trans rights activists are really messing this up for everybody right now.
So I'm thrilled that LGB Alliance was created and that it has continued to go from strength to strength. And I want to express my admiration to Bev and Kate for their courage and hard work.
Oh, was that crickets? Oh my. Squash them.
Huge apologies to any animal rights activists and vegans, just kill them.
Oh, Jesus. Gross.
She's like, I'm sorry to any animal rights activists or vegans, but just step on them, just smush them. Just look away, vegans. Just look away, animal rights activists. We gotta take care of this. We gotta continue with this meeting. Good Lord, yeah.
What's up, everybody? Rivera here, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world. Okay, so over the weekend, trans rights activists decided to release crickets, mealworms, and cockroaches in the conference room where they were holding the LGB Alliance convention. Which, if you guys aren't familiar, LGB Alliance is just lesbian, gay, bisexual alliance. And they are a group that's working against trans ideology and kind of where the LGBT community has gotten carried away, which I'll always continue to use absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world. But I really have never been what you could call a part of that machine or that system. It was really just a fun way of me opening up my videos because YouTube wouldn't let me use America's favorite, which is what I originally was going by, but then YouTube made the F slur for gay into hate speech, and then I was no longer allowed to use that as my moniker. So I went ahead and came.
I got a couple of videos age restricted because I used that. I said that a couple of times in our reactions. Yeah. Even I tried to bleep it out a couple of times. They still clocked it. I was like, really? Really?
Up with the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world. But as far as that machine goes, what the LGBTQ machine is, and now turned into the LGBTQIA plus, and in some cases the 2S LGBTQIA plus, what's happened with that is it really has gotten carried away.
Well, I don't even know what the 2Q. I give up on that. It's the LGBTQ. It's the LGBT. It's.
Way. And the reason that trans rights activists got so upset and wanted to shut down the meeting was because Jamie Reed was just about to speak, which if you remember Jamie Reed, I just discussed her a couple of videos ago when I was talking about her trans husband, Tiger Reed, who is now going to transition back into being a woman. But Jamie Reed is the whistleblower that exposed that gender clinic for kids in St. Louis for not taking proper protocols or not really vetting the way that they should be, and just wanting to transition kids. That's, in a nutshell, what she's known for. Wow. And she was just about to speak. So that's when the trans rights activists that had snuck into the convention decided to go ahead and release the bugs. And of course, they released the bugs right before Jamie Reed was supposed to speak, because the last thing they want is Jamie Reed talking again about what she noticed when she was working for that gender clinic, and talking from any kind of perspective that lets you know that what they're trying to do in a lot of these gender clinics eugenics is not anything that any sane adult, I'm not even going to say LGBT adult, I would just say adult in general, is going to support, is going to think is a responsible way to even deal with kids that may or may not be dealing with gender dysphoria. Studies have shown that most kids grow out of their dysphoria by the time they reach adulthood. But it's very telling to me when you can't allow certain people to speak, because usually if you won't allow certain people to speak, it's because you know that they're going to say something or some things that are going to completely blow apart your argument, and the last thing you need is for people to hear that what you're actually supporting and what you're actually claiming is complete bullshit. And if you don't know why the trans rights activists are so upset, is because, as I've said before, lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transsexual have really started to turn on these people that think that being trans is as easy as just saying that you're trans. Back in the day, transsexual meant you had to get an actual diagnosis, you had to go through an actual process, you had to live as the gender that you claimed that you actually were in your mind for a year before you could start doing any kind of actual changes. And
I didn't know that. I did not know that. I did not know that. That's interesting to know that. That's some interesting information. I didn't know that. Wow.
in some places, you had to sign a waiver stating that you were aware that you weren't actually changing sex, basically admitting that this was just kind of a cosmetic thing you were doing to help with your dysphoria. That's the way that it used to work. And now with self-ID, the way it is if today I decide that I'm a woman, I am a woman. I can start using the women's bathroom. And when I say that, it may sound a little bit silly, but that's literally what it is. I can still be me exactly like I look right now. Not any efforts to look like a woman. Just say that that is what I am mentally now, is a woman, and everybody has to respect it. And that's where everything has really turned into a joke, and everything has really turned into what you're seeing on TikTok and what you're seeing online. And the LGB Alliance, even though I don't, at this point in my life, want to be a part of any group, no matter what they call it, I'm not trying to be a part of a group. I am an individual. I think the way that I think. I know LGB Alliance is not for transsexual even, and I am not down with that, although I'm not against the LGB Alliance. I
didn't know that. They were not really with just regular transsexual. I thought it was just the all the extremists.
Think they have a right to do whatever they want to do. And although the LGB Alliance would say that we shouldn't at all represent transsexual because it's a different thing, I don't agree. Like I said, I'm not going to fight them about it, but I don't agree, because if you think about it at its base, a straight trans woman is a gay man. A straight trans man is a lesbian, because it is a male that is dating males if they're a straight trans woman, and it is a female that is dating other females if they're a straight trans man. So in that way, I differ from the thinking of the
I never thought about it like that. That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
LGB Alliance, because I do think that the trans community, as far as transsexuals go, let me be very clear, not transgender, transsexuals go, I do think that they should be welcomed in the community, because to me, transsexual is basically like adopting a 16-year-old kid. You're only going to have them for 2 years. You can make a really big difference, and then they move on. They leave the nest. And that's what it is with most transsexual people that actually find the level of adjustment that they need within the LGBT community, and then they move on. That's the way it usually works, is they need a safe place to be where people aren't going to judge them, where people aren't going to mistreat them, where people will be supportive of them while they get their look together, while they get their hormone treatment in order, while they do everything that they need to do, everything that they need a safe space for. You know, just in general, finding their footing can happen within the community, at the gay bars, at the lesbian bars. And then once they get to where they're going, usually they end up just leaving the community on their own and go live their lives as whatever it is they are. And most trans people, you wouldn't even know they're trans, because they're just living their lives like anybody else. But with transgender, it's like this group that always wants to be able to force itself on us, and always wants to be able to remind us that they're transgender. And I've never known a transsexual that's lived that way. Like, true transsexuals usually just want to live as what they identify as and don't want to bother other people. They're not trying to encroach on anybody's rights. They really are just trying to fly under the radar for the most part and deal with this lifelong condition that they're going to have. And some of them do find their level of happiness. So it's not even like a situation where they're constantly in turmoil for the rest of their lives. I know transsexual people that are very comfortable with what they are, and some of them haven't had the complete surgery as far as bottom surgery for different reasons. A lot of times it's because medically that hasn't fully been figured out, but that's a story for another video. But I do think that somebody does need to fight for their protections and for their legal rights as well. But if the LGB Alliance isn't that group, I understand that, and I'm not going to try to force anybody to do anything that they don't want to do, because I understand where they're coming from. A part of their thing is that transgender and trans rights activists have now started to say that lesbians can have penises. So a trans woman can be a lesbian, and then lesbians are transphobic if they don't want to hook up with that trans woman. They also say that it's transphobic for straight people not to want to hook up with trans people. And you can't manipulate people into doing what you want in the intimate way. It's a creepy thing to do, and it's not ever going to be effective, because people are going to be attracted to whatever people are attracted to. I've mentioned in the past that I have trans men friends that identify as gay. They always knew that I am an actual gay man, so I don't want anything to do with them when it comes to the intimate way. Yeah, we can be good friends, and I don't mind addressing you as a man, and I don't mind that you identify as a gay man. But when it comes to what an actual gay man is, you are not that. You are a female. And the fact that you are a female makes it so what we are doing between me and you would not be gay. That would be heterosexual with extra steps. But like I said, I can...
Heterosexual with extra steps. That's a good one. Heterosexual with extra steps.
Understand how some people feel like this has gotten carried away and they can't deal with it. There are some people that are identifying as animals now in a more and more serious...
Whoa. My daughter identifies as an animal. This is what I want you to know. See what I'm saying, man? Social media has groomed our children.
And that's supposed to be a part of the LGBTQ community. And I think if you truly think that you're an animal, you need to see a doctor and you need to really work on that. And I don't want to be a part of that. And what I think a lot of people miss when it comes to what's happening with the trans rights activists right now is a lot of what they push is the original group from Stonewall, which, if you don't remember Stonewall, that's where the modern gay rights movement basically started. And two of the main characters in that group that were a pretty big part of organizing for original gay liberation, as they used to call it, would have been Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera, who were both trans women. With Marsha P. Johnson, some people say that's debatable, but there is verifiable audio evidence where Marsha P. Johnson does say she is trans, or she was trans towards the end of her life. But in other interviews from before, she had said that she was basically a sissy or a cross-dresser. She evolved into being trans, which wasn't uncommon back in the day when somebody had been drag or cross-dressing for long enough. One day they came to the realization like, oh, this is the real me. We can debate that all day, but it's not the focal point of what I'm talking about right now. What I'm trying to focus on is trans rights activists say because Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera were such a huge part of the impetus of the modern gay rights movement that now the entire LGB part owes the trans community, and we can never do our own thing because they were the ones that originally started the movement. Well, they didn't originally start the movement. They were a part of the movement, and they did a lot. I personally do, after looking at a lot of the historical evidence, believe that they did a lot for the movement. But at this point, what's turned into the trans wing of the movement has really gone off the rails. And in my opinion, it's basically turned into that toxic ex that some of us have had that is like, if I can't have you, nobody can. That's why they tried to break up the meeting for the LGB Alliance, was because that's that mentality. If you're not going to be with me, you're not going to be with anybody. You're not going to be a group. That's basically what they're saying there. And they're also trying to pull the
can see
same kind of mental manipulation that a toxic ex would pull, where they're like, you would be nothing without me. You never would have been where you're at now if you weren't with me. And it's like, yeah, we would have, and we will, and we'll be stronger without you now. Because what these trans activists really aren't understanding is that they have started to erode a lot of the progress that we've made. And in certain cases, things are starting to take steps backwards because the general public just can't support all this stuff. And I've said it a million times, and I'll say it a million times more. When you start focusing on the kids, that's where everybody's going to draw a line. Not even other LGBT people are down for people messing with the kids. Leave the kids alone. Let the kids be kids.
Didn't I say that in that last video? Let the kids be kids. Leave them alone. Jesus
kids
Christ.
Develop the way that they're going to develop, and let them turn out the way that they're going to turn out. And when they're adults, they can make whatever decisions they want with their bodies or whatever changes they want to do with themselves. Because that's another thing that's going on right now, is there are certain trans groups that truly do believe that you can change your sex. And we all know that you cannot change your sex. You cannot change your DNA. So when you want us as LGB people to really jump on board and say that we support this, when we know that it's not true, and when the average person knows it's not true, and you're really trying to push it, and you're getting violent about it, and you're verbally abusive with people about it, and you really can't come at it in any sort of logical way, even though they would claim that the science and the medicine is on their side. But the fact of the matter is, science and medicine isn't on your side. If science and medicine really were on your side, you wouldn't be so angry and trying to shut down other people speaking. You would let people speak because you would know that it was nonsense, and eventually they were going to be proven wrong anyway. But what trans has turned into is just whatever's going on in your head. And not all of us want to play along with every fantasy that you have. Not all of us want to play along with whatever your cosplay is this week. Like when you're talking about gender fluid and you don't have a gender, that's fine if that's the way you want to identify. That's fine if that's the way you want to live. And for the people that you can get to play into your fantasy that way, have at it. But at the same time, it's not anything that all of us need to be involved in. It's not a political movement. And if you want to make that your political movement, then you make that your political movement. Don't try to conflate it with lesbian, gay, and bisexual rights, because those are something different. So it really is time for the trans rights activists and the transgender community to shove off and be their own thing if that's what they want to be. J.K. Rowling also sent in a recorded message for the LGB Alliance, which she fully gives her support to sex-based rights of lesbian, gay, and bisexual people. And even though transgender rights activists don't want you to know it, J.K. Rowling is also supportive of actual transsexual people. I'll end up making a video about it in the next couple of days. I just didn't want to make this too long. But J.K. Rowling has been very clear about the fact that she understands that transsexual and gender dysphoria are actual conditions that people are dealing with. And she even admits to having a transsexual friend herself that she can't see as anything but a woman, which is the way I feel about my friends. What a lot of people don't understand when they're being too hardline about this stuff is that some of us that may say things that maybe the trans rights activists don't think are politically correct, and then the people that are purist when it comes to the topic of gender and the way that that all works out and just says trans women are men. Yeah, at their base that is true, but at the same time, if somebody's dealing with a mental condition, I don't necessarily have to understand it if it's a legitimate medical condition they're dealing with, and if what alleviates that condition doesn't at all affect me. Because if you think about it in the actual sense, people being transsexual does not really affect most of us. So if we're going to get into the weeds of you can't dress this way, or you can't express yourself this way, or you can't go by these pronouns, to me that's where the LGB type lose me, because they're a little too hardcore about that. And for me, that's not what it's about. It's about the actual rights. It's about what is any particular movement really trying to do to shore up and make sure that people's rights are being protected. And there are certain rights that are specific to lesbian, gay, and bisexual that may sometimes be different from what heterosexual society is dealing with. So I understand a need for these types of organizations, and especially right now when transgender really has hijacked the movement and turned it into something that a lot of us don't recognize recognize and don't want to be a part of. And that's where I think groups like the HRC and GLAAD are really going to have to take a long, hard look at what they're doing and think about what it is they're supporting, because it's going to lead to a lot of us not supporting them. I've been very clear about the fact I do not support the HRC. I do not support GLAAD. I don't think they have the interest of the lesbian, gay, and bisexual part of the LGBT community in mind at all. I think that they're too concerned with the transgender end, because that's the part that's actually making them the money right now. That's the part where they can actually turn it into a long-term fight, and I think it's more of a financial strategy than it is about rights. And so I guess what I've been trying to say in this entire video is I think we're really witnessing where people are going to have to start making decisions, and the transgender is going to end up having to break off from the lesbian, gay, and bisexual end of the LGBTQ community. So if you ask me, this is where it all starts to fall apart, and this is where people break up into camps. And I am fortunate in this fight because I have always been my own thing and will just continue to be my own thing, believe what I believe, hang out with who I hang out with, and support what I support. But when it comes to the groups, it really is a crossroads for transgender to really just create their own thing. If you believe that you're as strong as you are and that we would be nothing without you, then go ahead and stop giving us your support and let us fall apart on our own. If you really do think that the rest of the letters would be nothing without transgender, then it's time for you to just step away, prove your point, let us disintegrate, and you will continue to be the strongest thing in the world, which we all know is not true. And the real reason that you're upset with us for not wanting to be a part of your movement anymore is because you know that when it comes down to it, and what really is transgender and what's really going to be down to stand up for transgender, you don't have the numbers to support yourself. Anyway, do me a favor, like, comment, and subscribe. As always, this has been Ty Rivera, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world.
I like Ty Rivera. He's very well spoken. He's very informative in this video. Just because it was nice to get a little bit of the Stonewall history again. I kind of, it's been a while since I remember hearing the story, but you got a little bit of a rundown if you're not familiar with it about Stonewall and Martha and God, I can't even think of their names right now. Martha P. Walsh thing. God, I lost my. I had a little bit of devil's lettuce before this, but yeah, he's very well spoken, and he made a lot of good points on here. A lot of stuff I didn't even realize that he brushed on. So yeah, I mean, I pretty much what he said is pretty much what I've said in the last couple of videos that I kind of brushed on this topic, and yeah. I'm not surprised because beginning of last year, there was an article in one of the major news publications talking about a separation. And I was like, yep, here we go. I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised. I thought sooner or later it was going to come up. So yeah, here we are. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. And yeah, let me know how you like Ty Rivera. Like I said, I think he's very well spoken and just insightful and gives you all the facts and doesn't sugarcoat anything. And so, yeah, let me know. Anyway, take care of yourself, take care of each other, peace and grace, and bye.